Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to say, Call Allah Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Hakodash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who taught us this truth and rule well, and Shalom to the hopeful elect, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Hakodash, Barakatam. It's the brother Kazah from Venerable 12 West Coast, coming back at it again with another lesson. And this lesson is going to be going into inflation, all right? Watching the times, and I came across this article, because due to the whole, situation with the cargo ships, what that's going to do is that's going to cause the prices to go up, and the prices go up, that's inflation, okay? Because that whole situation with the cargo ships, and not only that, but you also have all these companies that depend on the supply on that cargo, on the products to arrive and be docked and distributed, for their financial well-being. All right. And what that's going to do is that's going to get them, to basically reach out to the government for, financial assistance. In other words, these companies are going to be asking for money that they don't have in the Federal Reserve note. And what this is going to cause is for that Federal Reserve, that central bank, to start printing out more and more money. And hence, that's why you have inflation. A good example of that, I'm not sure if I brought it out. I think it's the video that they mess with the audio, but basically one of the docking companies in Long Beach, they asked the government, they didn't ask Salakia. Joe Biden, gave them 17 billion to deal with the whole situation, and they came out and said that even that wasn't enough. So ultimately, man, with more mouths to feed, as far as these companies go, it's going to be more money that's going to get printed out. All right. And also, too, you have a shortage of jobs. Okay. A shortage of jobs that's because that's going to cause these companies to raise the wage. All right. To get the workers to come in and how do I put it, to work, basically. But all in all, this kingdom is on its way out, man. All right, this wicked ass queendom, all right, is on its way out. All right, and there is no healing of it. Okay, that's why you can't be deceived. Now I'm gonna go into this article, but you can't be deceived by its positive attitude. All right, because again, you have to understand that these articles are written by people who don't want this place to end. Who want this place to keep on going. All right, but us in this knowledge, we know that this here is what so like that this here is going to, that this here, there's no healing of Babylon. All right, this here is the end. Okay, so let's get into the article. All right, the article is titled U.S. Inflation Expectations Surge to the Highest Level Since 2013. All right, and this article was written in October 12th. Okay, so going into it, it reads, Americans' inflation fear skyrocketed to another record high in September, driven by rising prices for an array of consumer goods. All right, and that's according to the Federal Reserve Bank. All right, now we're going to go into this video where they're going to list, the consumer goods that the prices are going up on. All right, so let's play this video.
Well, these global supply chain issues severely impact the distribution of goods on an international scale, and as we've seen, have a very visible effect here in the United States. Sharply higher prices for food and energy, but also cars, clothing, and furniture, among other goods and services, is an everyday issue that is directly hurting consumers' wallets. So how can you expect it?
So you see, among those things, you saw diapers. I mean, of course, cars, things of that nature. Those are luxuries. You have cars that get imported. All right, but you saw eggs, you saw meat. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a shortage of that too. Its prices are going to rise up on that as well. And ultimately what this is going to cause is for that central bank to start dishing out more and more money. All right, because like I said, all these companies that don't have their products being distributed, they're losing out on money right now. Okay. Oh, hold on. Let me switch back to this video. All right, this clip. Let me see if I could. Yeah, there we go. All right, and let me see if this is the right part.
Boats and these cargo ships. It stresses you out a little bit because then you start worrying about everything as you're looking forward. And also, too, on top of that, we're seeing images of all these boats and these cargo ships stranded out at ports. We saw it right behind Kaylee Hartung's live shot, and they're unable to dock. They're unable to unload all the goods.
And these are the products that these companies depend on, right? Because the majority of these companies, they don't manufacture their products, domestically. They go out, they outsource their labor because of course it's cheaper. So that in a sense is judgment upon them, for using that slave labor, instead of bringing the labor to the cities to build up the cities. You had whole cities that went down because of that. Like for example, you had Detroit. It's a section in Detroit that went down because GMC, if I'm not mistaken, decided it was a good idea to outsource the labor, because it's cheaper pay. So as a result, you had a whole bunch of people that went out of business, and you have a whole, section of a city, if I'm not mistaken, that got abandoned and basically fallen to that. It's what you call urban decay. Okay, so with all these ships, man, it's causing these companies to lose out on that money. All right. So what they're gonna do, they're gonna start turning to the government. All right, they're gonna start turning to the government. We need benefits, just like, hey, just like on the low level, us, with these, because of this lockdown thing, because of the C-19. All right, what happened? You know what I'm saying? We weren't able to work, so we went and asked for them benefits. And hey, and that's ain't nothing wrong with receiving benefits, man. That's using wisdom. As the scripture says, where there is no law, there is no sin. So these companies are gonna do the same thing as well. All right, if they're not already doing it. So what that's ultimately gonna cause is for that bank to start rolling out more cash, and with more cash being rolled out, that's gonna cause that inflation. All right, and that ultimately gonna collapse the economy, man, because that dollar is not going to be worth anything. Okay, so it reads, the median expectation is that the inflation rate will be up 5.3% 1 year from now, the 11th consecutive monthly increase, and another new high for the gauge, according to the New York Federal Reserve survey of consumer expectations. All right, so it's rising up, 5.3%, man. All right, and that's the most that it's risen up in years. Okay, and it reads, inflation expectations over the next 3 years, so like it increased to a median of 4.2% a month. Let me read that again. Increased to a median of 4.2%, a third monthly increase at the highest rate since the survey launched in 2013. All right, so you see, it's not going lower, but it's going higher. Okay, and then you have another article right here. It's released in June. I went through it briefly. It's titled "Surging Inflations Could Derail the Economic Recovery from the Crown V." And that's what the IMF warns. And the IMF, they're these international financial people. They deal with the money, man. All right, so hey, man, they're calling it, man. America is a sinking ship. Okay, because that's ultimately, the plan of right now, as far as, these people in office and these people in power go, as far as the higher ups go, not too higher ups, but, these people here in Babylon, they trying to, raise up the economy, but it's not going to come up. All right. And yeah, like Elder Apostle Ramla was hinting to today, in the lesson that he did, hey, believe it, we observe, speculating that it could be, by design, that all them ships is just out there stuck. You know why? Because these elites are trying to roll through with their new world order. All right, they're trying to turn the world from a cash physical currency to a digital currency. All right, they want that cashless society. Okay, and they, I guess, through the spirit, they have decided that now is the time to move on with that. But what they don't know is that they're going to get caught in the snare which they have made. All right, in the work of their own hands. So continuing on, it reads, median inflation uncertainty for the uncertainty, or the uncertainty expressed regarding future inflation outcomes. All right, so hey man, they're not certain of what's going to happen in the future, man. That's another thing too. Okay, they're not certain. They don't know if it's going to keep on going up or decrease. All right, but so far it's been increasing. All right, and in the spiritual, because it's been raising up by 6%. So that's the Lord, raising up that inflation to destroy this economy. Or it could be, him putting the spirit on these Rothschilds to make their move and do those things, man. All right, them different banking families. So it reads, let me see. So median inflation uncertainty, or the uncertainty expressed regarding future inflation outcome, was unchanged at the short-term horizon and decreased at the medium short-term horizon, the survey said. Both measures are still well above the levels observed before the outbreak of the Crown V. Okay, and it reads, even though consumers are braced for the highest inflation levels in nearly a decade, they still said that they expect the price of things like food, gasoline, medical care, rent, college, and tuition to decrease over the next year. All right, and again, this is the consumers. All right, who are the consumers? These Babylonians. They want things to come back and be the way it was. But guess what? It's not gonna play out like that. Okay, the Lord is destroying this place. All right, so continuing on, and it reads, Americans also anticipate that the prices of homes will fall slightly with 1 year expectations. All right, now this is more, miscellaneous. Is dealing with with the housing. You know what I'm saying? Which that's another thing too. A lot of people won't get kicked out their houses in the coming days, man, because they won't be able to pay it off. All right, so we're gonna keep on going. All right, so we're gonna start here. All right, inflation has accelerated as the economy recovers from last year's brief but extremely severe recession. Okay, and honestly, man, there's no turning back from that, because America's economy was already down the drain. All right, you had America's economy before that, before the Crown V, was in the trillions. All right, it was in the trillions. I believe 20 trillion. Okay, so with with that situation, with the government dishing out all these benefits, and not just the regular population, but to these entrepreneurs, these different companies. All right, that's a big, that is a big stab, if you will, to the American economy. All right, so it says Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell has largely attributed the spike in consumer prices to pandemic-induced disruptions in the supply chain, a shortage of workers. You see, and that's another thing too. All right, there's not enough people working, man. Okay, and that's what's that gonna do? That's gonna cause these companies to raise up the wages. All right, and with that, you know what I'm saying, with wages being raised, that's inflation. All right, everything, all the signs are in place to show that the things it's not going to get lower. It's only going to get higher. Okay, so it says, and a wave of pent-up consumers flushed the stimulus cash. Still, he maintained the rise in inflation is likely transitory, and has warned about the dangers of the Federal Reserve acting superfluously. Okay, and I looked that word up. All right, I'm going into that word, superfluously. All right, it basically means unnecessary, especially through being more than enough. Okay, because the Federal Reserve note is pumping out money, man. All right, they're pumping out that cash, and the more cash gets pumped out, the more prices are gonna rise, the more inflation there's gonna be. Okay, so this could all be by design. All right, these these different banking families, these elite banking families want their NWO. They want that digital central bank currency. All right, because they want to implement that MOTB, that charagma. Okay, so all things, all roads, like Elder Apostle said one time, all roads lead to the charagma. Almost slipped up right there. But all the roads is leading up to the charagma, man. All right, so projections from the Fed's rate setting meeting predicted an annual inflation of 4.2% by the year's end, an increase of from 3.4 in June. Still, policymakers projected that inflation will be cool to about 2.2% next year, closer in line with their goal range. All right, and again, man, don't be deceived by the positive attitude of the person that wrote this article. This is a person that is seeing the situation is bad, but is grasping at straws. You know what I'm saying? To try and convince the people, and not just the people, but themselves as well. All right, because this person right here, who is it? Megan Henny. It's a nobody, man. So themselves as well, that everything's gonna be okay. Especially by next year. But what they don't know is that there's no coming back from this, man. All right. It reads, these bottleneck effects have been larger and longer lasting than anticipated, Powell said in September during the U.S. Central Bank's two-day meeting. While these supply effects are prominent for now, they will abate, and as they do, inflation is expected to drop back toward our longer run goal. Okay, so again, that's that positive attitude, that these people are having. But ultimately, all right, I don't know what level, this Federal Reserve Chairman dude is. He's probably told, hey man, don't tell him that the economy is about to collapse, man. He was probably told, instructed to spread deceit, and then hence that's why you have that, positive attitude of the article, of the person who wrote the article. But us in this knowledge, we know that there is no healing of this place. All right. So with that, we're gonna get to the scriptures. We're gonna start with the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and 1, and it reads, "Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them." Okay, because ultimately, man, these are the times now more than ever to turn unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai before them doors of mercy close, man. All right, before you caught out there. All right, and reads verse 2, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after their rain. That's pursuant to, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, to everything there's a time and a season, and the season and the time of Babylon, all right, the daughter of Babylon is about to end. Okay, and it reads, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. All right, because we're coming into times when people are, packing up their supplies. It's crazy. We pushing camp on Sunday, and you had an average Jake. He had his little bug out kit. Which brothers who don't know what a bug out kit is it's basically a package, a kit of essentials you need to survive out there. And he was, going through the motions, practicing, getting out the city, if you will. But people is already starting to see that that the direction of this kingdom isn't going to a good place, man. All right, so it reads, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders shall cease, because they are few. Okay, and that's a manifestation, of what we're seeing. All right, so like what we seeing with these different companies and there not being enough work is a manifestation of the scripture. Okay, and the grinders shall cease because they are few. All right, there's not enough workers out there. Why? Because they are few. Not enough truck drivers, not enough people in the warehouses. All right, people in the distribution, the stores, You name it, man. They are few. And like I said, it's going to cause the companies to raise up the wages, and with higher wages, higher pay, higher prices. All right, them house, the rent is going to go up. Okay, like the article had a section they went into, the housing. All right, and it's not, didn't skip over that, because it wasn't significant. They skipped over because it's just how do I put it, straightforward, man. Obviously the rent is gonna go up as well. And it reads, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. All right, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Meaning in that day, there isn't going to be any more mirth, man. All right, and to further support that, we're going to go to the book of Isaiah chapter 24. Okay, and I'm going to start from the top, and I'm going to jump down. All right, so it reads, book of Isaiah chapter 24, verse 1. And I'm going to go, read a little bit, and then I'm going to jump down. And it reads, behold, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai maketh the earth empty, and he maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth the inhabitants thereof. All right, and that's what we're seeing with all these empty shelves, man. And guess what? When there ain't no more food in the city, when there ain't no more, resources in the city, what's gonna happen to the inhabitants? They're gonna scatter. All right, they're gonna be on their pilgrim shit, man, just like we are. And it reads, verse 2, and it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, and as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, and as with the seller, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. And that basically means that everybody, because ultimately this verse right here, it listed people of different financial positions. You got the seller, you got the buyer, you got the master, you got the servant, the employee, or you got the people, you got the priest. What do people do with the priest? They pay tithes unto him. All right, they give sacrifices unto him. Okay, and all of these people are gonna be in the same predicament. All right, whether you're the buyer or the seller, you're gonna be the same predicament. Whether you're the servant or the master, you're gonna be in the same predicament. Why? Because that dollar is gonna be worth nothing, man. All right, ultimately, with that inflation, is going to destroy the dollar. Okay, that dollar is going to be no more. All right, and in verse 3, the land shall be utterly empty and utterly spoiled, for Yahweh Hashem Yahushai hath spoken his word. You see, let me see where yeah, there it is right there. All right, so with that verse, the land shall be utterly empty. That's the title that I named this lesson that I did last week. But Esau mess with the audio to where you can only hear the news clip, but you can't hear my voice. You know what I'm saying? But when I went to where I stored my sit down, all right, you could actually hear my voice. So Esau just messing with my audio, man. So let me jump down to verse 10. All right, and it reads, the city of confusion is broken down, every house is shut up, that no man may come in. And that's what's going to happen, man. All right, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of chaos. People are going to be boarding up their houses. Okay, because people's going to be out here sacking one another. All right, when them stores run out of supplies, all right, when them stores is truly empty, people are going to look to their neighbors to take what they have. Verse 11, there is a cry for wine in the streets. All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. You see? And that's pursuant to what we read in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 12. All right? Where it says the daughters of music shall be brought low. Because it ain't going to be a fun time when all hell breaks loose, man. When that economy collapses, when that dollar collapses, when there ain't no more food, it ain't going to be a fun time. All right? So let me see real quick. See if it's a good, preset. You know what I'm saying? But I could basically end it off with that, through the spirit. You know what I'm saying? Just watching the times, man. Hey, you know what I'm saying? We're closer to the day, man, than when we believed. All right? So with that, I'm going to say, Call Allah Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahawashi, Ba'ashim Rchahakudash. Forgive me the spirit to do this lesson. On to the next. Shalom.